Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your continued support as always. Please do subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more of the videos like this, because you know, trying to spread the word as much as I can. So West Streeting has admitted really that the situation regarding the NHS over the winter is not going to be good. He was talking in an article which I'm going to show you now, so you can see the answers that he's been given. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is what he was saying. He said there will be people on NHS trolleys in the corridors this winter. He has admitted to it. He's talking about the 10-year plan, local hospital, and he was saying, firstly, we're not wasting time. We've hit the ground running. We ended the junior doctor strikes within weeks of coming into office. We've put in place the funding to employ 1,000 more GPs into the front line. We've taken action on public health with a ban on junk food ads targeting kids. We will be bringing forth the tobacco and vape bill and the Mental Health Act reform very shortly. So there's lots of things we're already doing. When it comes to the long-term plan, we've come in a very clear sense of direction in what we would like to do. The reason why I'm embarking on the biggest conversation in the history of the NHS is because I think, and the Prime Minister thinks very strongly, that when it comes to reforming public services, you shouldn't do it to people, you should do it with people. And within the NHS and the millions of people who use it is a huge amount of experience and expertise we want to draw from, because with the best will in the world, I think that most people think the last people who want deciding on how the NHS is run is a bunch of politicians. Well, yes, that's true. I'd like experts, and unlike previous governments, this government can't get enough of experts. So anyway, Christian Guru Murthy was talking to him, and he says, so you're actually trying to bind everyone in, aren't you? So that you can't be criticised in years ahead. So everyone's signed up, and you can say everyone agrees to this plan. And he goes on to talk about that he would love to avoid criticism, and that you know, he feels pretty sure that with the change.nhs.uk, people are already posting saying, well, I don't agree with the government about this, and I don't agree with the health secretary about that. Bring that advice, bring those views to bear, because I think we would only get one shot at this. I think this is existential for the NHS, and we're taking action now to get it back on its feet. So anyway, Guru Murthy says that's for the long term, but right now in the next 3 months you're facing winter crisis and people will lose their lives because of the inefficiency of the NHS. How is it going to be different under this government? And West Streeting says probably the most important change that we've already delivered is making sure that they're not coping with strikes. And you know, in some ways that is true. However, they've also made this worse, which I'm going to talk about in a second. The last couple of years the NHS has been plagued with strikes. Don't underestimate the impact of those strikes, the disruption they cause. So creating the conditions in which NHS leaders and frontline staff can just think about how to deal with patients. I wish I could sit here and tell you that the first winter of a Labour government we could just abolish corridor care and no one would be on trolleys in corridors. There will be people on trolleys in corridors today, and there will be throughout the winter. What we've got to do is, instead of going hard on arbitrary targets this winter, is to make sure that for every patient that comes through the door, it's the safety and dignity of that patient that's first and foremost. Well, it's hard to do that if you're in a corridor, rather than trying to work some arbitrary targets. So it goes on to saying, we came in as well as a £22 billion black hole. There are a number of direct real-world consequences for government departments, but for the future and beyond the budget, which I don't want to preempt, but as the Chancellor said, the NHS is a priority for the budget. And he's wanting to reduce the deficits in the NHS every year going forward. He was also asked about Ozempic, about how it being a way, you know, so do you want to do fat jabs? And he has said on this, reading some of the commentary, you would think that I'm going to wander around the country in some dystopian manner, involuntarily jabbing fat people in the checkouts of supermarkets, or going after unemployed people, assuming they are all overweight and making them have jabs. To be clear, I think there is some encouraging evidence that weight loss jabs can be effective at reducing obesity and cardiovascular disease, but it's alongside changes to diet and changes to exercise. And the reason I mention the unemployed, by the way, is because if you look at people who are both off work and off sick, or off sick and unable to work, a lot of health conditions they suffer from has an obesity as a driver. So yes, that is true, but there are also lots of people who can't help but be obese because of various conditions that they've got. So it's not necessarily going to be a fix for those people, is it? So, I mean, he's admitted, of course, that this situation is going to be worse over the winter, but then they've also made it worse by reducing this winter fuel payment. Lots of, you know, elderly people are going to end up in NHS in corridors because of that decision. So I don't think they've made the situation any better by doing that. I think they're probably going to make it worse. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think about Wes Streeting's answers? Do you agree with him that there wasn't really much they could do about it, that the NHS was destined to be like that just for this year? Or do you think that there were things they could have put in place this year to help with the crisis that's going to come over the winter? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down in the comment section.